Hey, what's going on, folks? Happy Friday to you all out there in internet, YouTube land. And welcome to the show. I am Stevie, the military biker. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful Friday night. If you are in Canada, happy Thanksgiving for the weekend. And if you didn't know, Canada does Thanksgiving on Sunday. So happy Thanksgiving to those guys, including me, because I'm in Canada. Happy Thanksgiving to myself. Welcome to the show, guys. Like I said, tonight, hopefully, I've got a cracker of a show for you guys tonight. We're going to have Fingers Jauch on the show tonight. He is, hopefully, anyway, he is, was an undercover cop, and he spent a lot of time working embedded in the MC 1% world. So I think he's been on the show before, and we spoke to him just quickly last time he was on the show about that. So hopefully he'll be here tonight. And he can talk to us in length about his time as an undercover cop in the MC world, which I think is absolutely fascinating, if I'm honest. And if you haven't seen Fingers' channel, then obviously I will drop the link to his channel a little bit later on. But if you haven't seen it, you'll be glued to it. If you haven't seen it, you will be glued to Fingers' channel, because the stories he tells, the things that he goes through, and it's just life advice really from an old school biker. There's the man himself. Look,
there he is.
Holy shit.
That's usually the first indicator. Holy shit is the first indicator.
Well, I had to switch over to my phone.
Dude, it's horrendous. Some fucking StreamYard can be a bitch.
Oh, man, that was frustrating. I finally had to give up, just went to my phone.
Mate, it's just as good, mate. We can see you, we can hear you. That's what matters. Fuck. Oh, Jesus. Well, welcome to the show, mate.
No, thank you. Thanks. It's my honor being here again, Stevie.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, mate. And obviously my honor to have you on, mate. Absolutely. That's it's great to see you again, mate. Glad to see you looking well. And still keeping up the great videos and the great work on YouTube, man. It really, for those that have watched Fingers and stuff, man,
I appreciate that, but YouTube's been kicking my ass too.
I think it's kicking every fucker's ass.
All of our ass.
Yeah. My God.
Absolutely, man. Jesus. So Jimmy, just to let Jimmy finish what he was saying about stepping to sort of up, if you like, to potentially to an actual MC. Jim, what were you saying? Oh, he's froze. Look.
Stuff like Chuck.
Fucking hell! It's all happening tonight. Holy shit!
Man, we got the grim ones in here tonight.
Oh, there he is. He moved. Jimmy.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
There you go. Fucking hell.
Well, I'm back in.
Dude. Jesus. So go on, mate. You were saying.
No, it's definitely something that I would consider, mate. But as I said before, the time is not right, and the club I'm in at the moment is all about family. So if I've got anything that I need to do with the kid or anything that I need to do with my family, then that comes first. At the moment.
Family first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when they two wee little scroats are old enough and flawed the nest, then I can basically do what I want. I'm free.
Free as a bird. And if anybody needs a translation of what Jimmy just said, then please let me know. Put your hand up. Tell you exactly what he just said.
Aye. There's apparently you can put subtitles on in the comments.
Well, yeah. We had that one. If Zed was here, man, we'd have to put the subtitles on. Jesus Christ.
Definitely, yeah, you would.
That's true.
Great dude, though.
Oh, I love Zed to bits, man. He's a top geezer. He really is.
Yeah,
top geezer.
He's a good guy. I'd go glassing with him any day.
Yeah, I'd go glassing with Zed as well. And probably this man down there in the bottom corner taught me how to do a bit of glassing when I was a young lad. So, Isn't that right, Jimmy?
A beefer 2000, mate.
So I completely forgot about that. Holy shit.
Oh, mate. Oh, no, you can't.
Believe it or not, internet, that man right down there in the corner was Mr. Ibiza, or Ibiza, whatever you want to call it, 2000. Yeah. Correct. He was voted Mr. Ibiza 2000 because of his sexy body.
Because I was what?
Because you had a sexy body back then, Jim, didn't you?
I don't think it didn't have a sexy body, mate. I think it was just a part coming out. I was steaming.
Yeah, no, I'm taking the piss. You didn't have a sexy body at all. I don't think any of us did.
I just think I was pished.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking hell. Well,
can you not remember? Can you not remember that bit? Can you not remember that bit, Steve? When we were with all these, with about 5 or 6 birds lined up, when I had a best tits competition, and basically I got them all to get their tits out, and I was fucking feeling them all.
I don't remember that actually, but now you've said it.
I do.
I bet you do. Yeah, I bet you do. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. Well, anyway, enough of that shit. Let's not go down memory lane live on fucking internet. Could be some demons come out the closet. Let me just quickly say hello to Brad that popped in, didn't even know he was on. There he is right in the middle. An absolute legend of a guy. Brad, welcome to the show, mate. Appreciate you coming on, dude. Really, really cool to see you, mate, again. Obviously, unfortunately, it's not in the flesh, but hey, we did that in stages and it was awesome.
That was a good time.
Really, yeah, it was, mate. So welcome to the show, bud. But the man himself, the main man tonight is Fingers, directly below me right now. All dramas sorted out, mate. And again, welcome to the show, mate. Really appreciate you coming on.
No, like I say, it's my honor, guys.
Appreciate it, dude. But so let's get into it, man. Let's crack on with if it's okay with you, mate. We can ask you a few questions and tell us about.
You can ask me anything. I got no secrets. Well, I got a few, but
you've got a few. Yeah, we've all got a few. That's for sure. Well, I'll hand it over to you, mate. Just give yourself for those that don't know who you are, and obviously you with your channel and stuff like that. Tell us a little about yourself, just to sort of set the scene, as it were, if you wouldn't mind.
No, not at all. I'm a old school biker. It's the kind of way I look at myself. I've been riding a Harley Davidson since I was 17 years old. I was shall we say, a youth that used to run the streets. Lord knows I was no angel or anything like that, so I was pretty well versed on how the street worked. And then I finally kind of started to grow up. I ended up wanting to become a police officer, in which I did. At one point I ran kind of through the ranks of police work. I started off in corrections, working a maximum security prison, went into patrol, and then into investigations, and finally I was recruited by the FBI. I was deputized by the FBI as well as the United States Marshals, and that started off as case specific. I joined the FBI task force, and that was totally to infiltrate a motorcycle club here in Illinois. I'll let you guess which club. I
can take a pretty good guess.
And that case ran from 2001 to 2003, and out of all that time, about 18 months of that was actually doing undercover work. I must have did an okay job. I ended up staying on with the FBI for the remainder of my career.
Wow. That's that is definitely not your average career. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, there's guys that did bigger cases, more sexy cases out there in the world. My specialty though is the bike clubs. I grew up around the biker culture. I also ended up doing some white supremacy crews, and then probably some of the bigger drug trade operations that are still in existence in the world. So, I seen a little bit of everything.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you're certainly a man of the world, mate. That's for sure. You're not the shy kind of guy that, you would not, put against something like that. That's for sure. So, what about your YouTube channel, bud? You've obviously been running that for quite some time now, and it's quite going quite well, I would say.
Well, thank you. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but yeah, my channel is Fingers Jauch, and the Jauch is how you spell Jauch. But yeah, I mean, it's going well. Other than here lately, I was kind of thinking I got shadow banned after I did a video called, what was it? Stop Pretending. And where I called out a bunch of shit, everything from cops to bikers to a few.
I seen that one. I watched that one. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, you touched on a few woke stuff, that's for sure, and hit hard with that type of shit. So yeah, I'm glad somebody said it, mate. To be fair.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, it would, it's my opinion based on my life experiences, and everybody's is going to be different based on their life experiences. And basically, I try to be as transparent as I possibly can on my channel. They're one of the videos that kind of it was somebody struck a nerve with me, accusing me of hating 1%ers or motorcycles in general, and went on to say I hate bikers, and it's quite frankly just the opposite.
I was going to say, the opposite, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not going to say, that's like me coming on here saying everybody that wears a badge is a good guy. That's simply not fucking true. There's shitbag cops out there in the world. There's cowards. There's, every walk of life that you can think of. Some of them wear a badge, or some of them are a priest or a minister or whatever.
Well, we have that in the military too. I mean, we have that 10%. That 10% of shitbags in the military.
Absolutely. So, and that's all I do is I shine the light on it. And I find it very interesting. I have a decent amount of 1%ers that watch my channel. They constantly will email me or text me and things like that. And, they'll tell me, hey, man, you hit it right on the head that time. Loved it. And then, of course, I definitely have my fair share of haters out there, too.
You're going to have those critics, man. When you're out on the wide world of sports on the internet, you're going to have those critics.
Absolutely. And I like I say, I try to be as transparent as I possibly can. The one thing I will not do on my channel is lie. And, I try to put it out there the best I can. And of course, some people can't get past, you're a cop and, you wore a badge and you put people in prison. Well, all true.
Yeah.
Call it as you see it, right?
Exactly. And if people can't handle the truth, I mean, I was talking to, I call him a friend. His nickname is Fuzzy. If any of you guys ever watched the show back in the day, it was called Devil's Ride. Fuzzy was on the Devil's Ride, and he is a member of the Hells Angels. And I consider Fuzzy a friend. He, furthest thing there could be from a criminal. And, him and I were talking, and he's like, hey, I had a relative that was at 9/11 and ran into the building. So, these guys, some of them get it, some of them never will.
Well, that's it. When you're dealing with something like, the 1%ers, you're going to always have that. And you're going to have, like Grant said, the wild way of the sports on the internet, you're going to have people who have no fucking idea about any of the MC world at all, but yet they still want to comment on something. They'll just see cop straight away. Oh, fucking hell, he's a cop. Blah, blah. And, that for me, I think there's, and you'll know a hell of a lot more about this than I do, Fingers, clearly. For me, I think there's that. Do you think, I'll ask you actually, because you like I said, know more about it. Do you think there's still that old school sort of respect between the cops and the bikers, sort of, not at sort of patrol level? I'm talking about, like you were undercover and sort of detective level. Do you think that sort of old school respect is still there?
Yeah, I think it is, but I also see it fading. Some of the newer guys, they just don't have the respect that the older riders did. And it's not even just with the cops. I see a big problem with respect, period, with some of the younger riders. The times have definitely changed. The bike scene has changed. The MC scene has changed a lot since I was around. I mean, before I ever went undercover, I was in a motorcycle club, not a 1% club. Just a normal motorcycle club, and it was all about drinking booze, building bikes, racing, drag racing, street racing.
Sounds awesome.
That sounds like a dream.
It was seriously, it was a fantastic time. I mean, every weekend, we would joke that we're going TT racing, and that stood for tavern to tavern. We definitely embodied the old school guys, the military veterans that started the clubs coming home from World War II.
Yeah.
We really mirrored that excitement, that love of motorcycling, and it was some good times.
I totally agree with you. I think you touched on it, like the video you said about before. I think that whole respect sort of with the new generation that's coming through now. There's just it's gone, or it's going at least, and I think it's struggling to find that balance between the old school way of doing things and the woke way of doing things as it is now, which the world's gone crazy in my eyes, and I think the longer this goes on, the worse the world's going to get, in my opinion. I think and it's seeping in, like you said, it's seeping into the biker world now as well. And you see them out on the road, when you go to a bike night or you meet for a poker run or whatever, you'll see it. Right. You won't see it very often, but you will see it.
Well, and I think the biker scene itself has changed a lot. I mean, when I first started going to Sturgis and all these other rallies, I mean, me and my buddies would, we'd roll in 6 to 8 deep, and we never dreamt of trailering the motorcycle. Just, and I'm not beating on guys that do. Everybody's got their preferences on how they do the
look at Grant laughing, look.
to the world of motorcycling. But back in our day, if we seen a biker on a trailer in a gas station on our way to Sturgis, we'd offer to help fix his bike. We just assumed, well, that fucker broke down. Let's get him back on the road. And
that would be my response right now.
And like I say, I'm not beating up on anybody. Everybody's got their own. One of the guys that I met him out in Sturgis, not this past year, but the year before. MSG retired. He's got a YouTube channel, and I. Great dude from Massachusetts, and he trailers his bike to Sturgis and shit like that. But it's not that he hates motorcycling or anything like that. The dude runs road racing. I mean, the guy lives on a motorcycle 90% of his time. It's just he's a veteran, and he's like, fuck that. I've slept on the ground too many times. I've slept in the rain. I've done all the bullshit. And I'm not down for that anymore. I get it.
Yeah.
So, everybody's got that. I'm just looking back in the days of when I first kind of really started riding motorcycles. Now, mind you, there wasn't 500,000 people showing up at Sturgis either.
Right.
I don't even know if it was hitting 100,000 back then.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting to hear you say that. Wow, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
if I had a time and I was retired, I'd ride that motherfucker hands down, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But for people that are on a time constraint, trailering it makes sense, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely it does. I mean, we joked one time because we saw this dude. We were riding out. We were about 6 deep that year, and this guy was riding on. You want to talk about up in the game? Here we are on baggers, and we're riding by, and this dude on a hardtail chopper was going down on the road, and he had the front wheel of his race bike up on between the sissy bar, pulling it with his chopper. And so
wow.
When you think you're a badass and you're riding
there's always somebody badder.
And it's like, no, there's some true badasses out there.
Well, it's interesting to hear you say that about the whole, how Sturgis is sort of blown up. Bearing in mind how long it's been fucking going and how sort of, embedded in the biker lifestyle, especially in North America, it is. It's very, for me anyway, it's interesting to hear you say that, it used to be probably maybe 100,000. Now it's fucking massive.
Yeah.
Do you've seen that change over the years, Fingers, and I think would you say, in your opinion, I know the answer, I guarantee I know the answer, but would you say it's changed for the better or for the worse?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, because everybody talks about how Sturgis became commercialized, and it has.
Yeah.
But the big thing for me, okay, the party is definitely downgraded in my opinion, because Main Street Sturgis used to be off the chain. The girls were on Main Street, half naked, doing all sorts of crazy fun shit.
Damn, if I could only grew up 10 years younger.
Well, and then that kind of got chased out of downtown and into the campgrounds, and you would never see a cop.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, shit.
This just started getting good.
Welcome to Sturgis. Don't ever come back.
Oh, there he is. He's back. He's back.
He's back.
Fingers, you cut off there, mate.
Okay, I said it moved down.
The internet censored you.
Fucking StreamYard hates me tonight, man.
Yeah, fucking StreamYard's run by woke.
StreamYard's all over you tonight there, bud.
There ain't no shit. But yeah, it moved to the campgrounds. The party did. It was all good. Like I say, we got asked never to come back to Glencoe one year. And that was because a bunch of us, and I'm talking, there had to have been about 30 of us. We were shooting guns and fucking all the craziness. So they told us, we're looking to try to become a more family-oriented campground during the rally. And they said, don't come back. We never did. And, but so now, they keep a pretty tight neck on the party in the campgrounds. You can't have campfires anymore. And at night, that's where all the fun happens.
We learned.
You know what? It's funny. It's fucking funny that you say that, because Grant obviously brought all the supplies down, if you like, for the time that we were down there, and he put tiki torches. You know what tiki torches are? To drop around a campground, little tiny flames. And he got fucking shouted at by the woman on the first night that he lit. Like literally about 2 seconds later, some woman jumped out the bushes. You can't have those. Fucking get them gone.
Fucking damn, the fire Nazi just showed up. Shit.
Yeah. And I mean, the first year they did the whole you can't have a fire was because of fire dangers, which I call bullshit on even the first year they did it. But what
all
it
was
was
burn grass.
they turned it into, because in the old days, the first things you did was you rolled in, set up camp, you grabbed your collapsible cooler, or you went into town and bought a cooler. You filled that motherfucker up with all the beer it would hold, ice it down, right back to your campground, and you'd sit around a campfire popping the tops. The bars weren't making the money. The campgrounds weren't making the money from the booze. So they did away with the campfires to force you into a different location. And law enforcement makes bank off of writing frickin' DUI tickets and arresting people for everything. But that's the downside of Sturgis. It became commercial for everybody, including the cops. But on the good side of things, the thing I still love about Sturgis and I have great respect for is, you want to see anything industry related that just came out yesterday, it'll be in Sturgis.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So that's the cool part. I mean, I remember going out there and meeting Jesse James for the first time before anybody knew him. And it was simply, I was walking by his bike and I'm like, that's a nice fucking ride. And he's like, thanks, man. The next thing you know, you're sitting there and fucking drinking a beer with Jesse James back when he drank. And nobody fucking knew who he was. Nobody gave a shit other than that's a really kick-ass motorcycle. And I've done that numerous times, and then within a couple of years, it's like, the dude's on TV and, some motorcycle show. So that's always cool to me is, and that hasn't changed. I mean, if you truly seek it out, the newest, greatest bike builder is in Sturgis every year. And in a couple of years, he'll be famous for what he does, his art. Billy Lane was another one. All those guys. I mean, Arlen Ness, when that dude showed up out there, everybody knew who Arlen Ness was because he'd been doing it so long.
Yeah. Wow. It's funny because we were. What was that place called? It was either the Knuckle. It wasn't the Knuckle. It was the Iron Saloon or Iron Horse, I think it was, across the street from the Bikini Wash where we went to. The horrendous $40. Broken Spoke.
Yep.
That's what it was.
Yep.
So we were in there one night, and the bike. One of the bike guys who was in there, and he built this fucking hardtail chopper, and oh my god, man, it was fucking
built
unbelievable.
Built it out of Triumph too, didn't he?
Yeah, and he built it out of a Triumph as well, and it was fucking unreal, man.
Right.
You know what he done. He built this thing up over years, and got parts from the UK and from eBay, and and built fucking parts of this bike on his own, and it fabricated a certain frame and what have you. But just to see the skill level of some of these blokes, man, is just fucking unbelievable. It really is. And this thing was first place in the show, and rightly so. Because it was unbelievable. But you're right. I think that sort of you'll see shit that you won't see anywhere else. You'll see it at stages. Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm surprised to hear you say that the party has dropped because, fuck man, we had a great time. I couldn't imagine going years and years and years ago and having and seeing what it was like then because we had a fucking phenomenal time.
Yeah, we went pretty hard.
We did.
I mean, and you can still party your ass off, but it has changed. I mean, let's put it this way. I remember the days of waking up in your campground and, all right, I got to go take a shower, and you'd have to ride over to the shower house, and you put on your boots and you were buck ass naked, man, women, you didn't give a shit. You rode over, you took a shot, you'd see people banging on the way back and crap like that. I mean, it was crazy. I mean,
wow.
I wonder if it's
my old pictures.
I wonder, Fingers, if it's a generational shift, right? So I grew up just outside of New Orleans, and growing up in the New Orleans area, you partied when you were like 14. You're old enough to reach the bar. You weren't old enough to drink, right?
Right.
So I grew up like that. I go back now and I'm like, this ain't shit. Like, where the fuck are all the people? Like Bourbon Street, it's like nothing anymore. I mean, growing up down there, I tend to not go there very often, but I like check it out and see kind of where it's at. And it's like, man, these people don't party like we used to party. Girls were walking naked down the street and all up in the French Quarter and all that. And you're like, wow. And nowadays, I wonder if it's just an overall generational shift.
Well,
I think it is.
You might have some of that, but I mean,
Mike, exactly.
I blame law enforcement for a little bit of it. I blame the city leaders for a lot of it. They did the old let's get them hooked on the rally and then bait and switch. That I get it to a degree, but and of course now when you're tripling and quadrupling the size of the crowd, okay, you're probably gonna have to tone shit down.
Safety issues, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But look at us right now, right? We're it's Friday night. We're all sitting here on YouTube drinking beers together. No one's out.
No, yeah.
I have one if I was able to not have to go back to work.
Oh man,
let me.
Man, what a great point.
Yeah, no, you're right, John. Just quickly say hello to Triumph, Mike. Hey, Mike, how you doing, mate? Nice to see you.
Hey, Mike.
So yeah, you're right, John. We sit here saying about this, that, and the other, and we're all sitting here on the internet on a Friday night having a few beers. But I think this is the way. This is going to the pub with your mates, but now, if that makes sense. In the new generation, the new world, exactly. We still have a fucking good time. Would I rather be in a pub with you guys drinking and having this chat? Absolutely. But because of how far we all live apart from each other and so on and so forth, I think this is a good substitute, but it's not. It's not ideal. It isn't. Let's be honest. I'd rather be doing this in a pub. Absolutely. But yeah, no, you're right, John. You're spot on with that actually. So Fingers, let me ask you, mate.
Sure.
How did you get started involved with being an undercover cop? And obviously, you said you were going through the ranks and stuff, and you wanted that. You've always probably had that vision of becoming a detective and moving into the sort of undercover life. Did it fall into your lap, or was it something that you just happened chance to sort of pick up as you were going on?
It definitely didn't fall into my lap per se. Again, I've been riding Harleys. I've been around the motorcycle club world since I was 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
I bought my first Harley from a 1%er.
Nice.
And there's a whole story behind that where I ended up in fucking jail over it and shit like that. But, it just, so I was accustomed to some of the things that went on. I hung out with quite a few guys, and over the years, they were comfortable with me. I was comfortable with them.
Yeah.
And I had a guy looking for military grade weapons, and he came to me and he's like, "Hey man, I need X, Y, and Z. Can you get it?" And I'm like, I'd have to look into that. And I told my my boss, I'm like, "Hey man, get a hold of ATF. This is in their alley." And 2 days later, the FBI showed up. So I found out my fucking boss couldn't spell ATF. Ended up, and they're like, "Well, do you know this guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Do you know this guy?" "Yeah." "Do you know this guy?" "Yeah." "And you know how to ride a motorcycle? You know all the lingo?" And I'm, "Yeah." And truth be known, a lot of people don't understand this, especially like within the FBI. There is a very, very small contingency of FBI agents that will work undercover. And when I say small, I'm talking in the USA, there's probably less than 30.
Wow.
Really?
That's
Holy
it?
shit.
Yeah.
They just won't. They go to local. Do they go to local PDs instead for that? Outsource
They
it?
do. That's what they do with me. Even ATF now has a lot of undercover guys.
Okay. Oh shit.
Oh,
You're probably with a guy by the name of Jay Dobbins.
there he is.
Jay
He's back. He's back.
Jay infiltrated the Hells Angels, but all his support crew was pretty much he handpicked from local PDs.
Wow.
So
Holy shit.
Yeah, but yeah, that's that. Mine came together from literally, I guess, having a lot of experience in the field, in the field of motorcycling, and being comfortable around the 1%. And I got to, I openly admit, even when I started riding with a club that,
Shall not be named.
It surprised me by how aggressively we rode as a group. And then you can a couple of times on my body mic, I was wired a lot of bit of the time. You'd hear me like, "Oh shit!" Well, and it was me, and you'd hear the screeching of the tires, and you'd hear the crew wind it up, and and cruising through Chicago and everything else. We didn't stop really at stop signs or stoplights, or we did what we wanted.
Yeah, sure.
And I started thinking, fuck, I'm going to die in a motorcycle crash well before these guys find out I'm a cop and shoot me. So,
holy fuck. Well, it must have been sort of, when you first went into this sort of lifestyle, as it were, because it is a lifestyle, as you pointed out before. It must have been sort of intimidating and a little bit fucking scary, mate, in the beginning, where you're going through this. You're having to do I'm guessing you had to do the whole prospect thing just like anybody else, and then move up the club. So you're not in there for 5 minutes. You'd be doing this thing for quite some time.
Yeah. I mean, I had an undercover townhouse, undercover vehicles. I had motorcycles on standby. I totaled one of them. It became, we were in the world of law enforcement, in federal law enforcement. We were approved for what was called a Group 1 investigation, which gives us $100,000 budget every 6 months. So, I was going through $200,000 a year.
Taxpayer dollars at its finest.
Yeah,
was your work bike better than your regular bike?
It sounds like the military with fraud, waste, and abuse.
Yeah.
Yep. That ain't no shit.
Jesus.
But,
Just $100,000. Eh? That's a military's what? It's $100,000.
Right.
Military grade.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a major case in the world of federal law enforcement goes. And it's something I could have never done by myself. I learned a lot. I remember getting my ass chewed for the first time, and it was a pretty good dressing down.
Really?
I got quit. I wasn't ready for it, and I've worked undercover in small deals before, but this was the first time I ever something on this level. And my supervisor, he goes, "Hey, what kind of lock they got on that door?" I don't fucking know. And he's like, "What side's the hinges?"
Oh, he'll drop back in a sec.
Yeah.
And pretty soon he's like, "This is all the shit we need to know today. They're like, someday if we need to come through the door to either save your ass or go after something, you need to be telling us all this stuff, what we're prepared for, where the bathroom is, where the gun stashes are." So then I started figuring out there's a whole lot more to this than just trying to find a bad guy in a motorcycle club.
Yeah.
I went on to infiltrate a couple more clubs. And when I say a couple more, about a half dozen. I went on to do 2 other 1% clubs. We got one that the club itself wasn't that dirty other than street level dope. But one of the girlfriends of one of the patched members was trafficking children out of the Eastern blocks, out of Europe. We ended up grabbing her and 48 other people. We ended up saving, if you will, like 102 kids.
Wow.
Good deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nice one, mate. I bet you that felt good, Fingers, for something like that. I bet you that felt, really good to get that over the line, as it were, and to stop that shit from happening.
You get that happy feeling for about 5 fucking minutes, and then it's like, next, what's next?
What's
Let's
next?
go.
Yeah.
Best 5 minutes, though.
Oh yeah. Well, even club I won't talk about. We had a child molester in that crew, and everybody in the chapter knew he was a child molester.
Wow.
We ended up, somebody within the chapter, a couple of somebodies within the chapter was not happy about that, and they went to the regional boss. The regional boss was actually, I liked the guy. I mean, I had no issues with him whatsoever. He was articulate, charismatic, just a good dude. Had his own still has his own business. He's no longer in the club, but just a intelligent guy. And he went back to the chapter I was with and said that dude has to go. And the chapter president said, "Fuck you! You don't tell us what to do." The regional president's like, "He's a child molester," and the president's like, "Yeah, we fucking know, but he's our child molester, and you're not going to tell us how to run our chapter."
Wow.
And it got to the point where our chapter president started soliciting to do a hit on the regional president. So it was crazy. And this whole time we were at war with the Hells Angels. So, I mean, you didn't know if one of your own were going to kill you or a rival club was going to kill you. It was some intense times.
I can imagine, man. You're just being embedded in, in a high up 1% like that. And they're all sort of, scary shit. And they all live by the certain rule. And I think, you deal with that shit on a fucking daily basis. It's got to have a sort of psychological effect on you. And let's be honest, you embedded in a fucking 1%. And you're gonna see shit like Funchuk says there. You've seen things that you can't unsee. And like that, the child molester stuff and the kid trafficking and shit like that. It's got to have some sort of psychological effect on you as a whole. And I think for like he says, mate, hats off to you because you didn't only do it once, you did it a dozen times, probably. I would say.
For motorcycle clubs, about half dozen. Like I say, I did a couple other 1% crews after that case. I actually did a couple other smaller crews. We did two support clubs, the major 1% club. Well, to that club. So it was one of those things, and that actually became somewhat hairy too. The bigger case, I ended up in a knife fight in the clubhouse one night. That scared the piss out of me. One of the support crews for these guys, I ended up buying some cocaine from him, and then he's like, after I bought it, he's like, you're going to share that bag with me. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And he pulled out a fucking big ass Bowie knife. And I'm like, all right, man, your funeral. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. So fucking my partner saved the dude's life. I literally had my hand on my piece. I was going to freaking pop him. But yeah, I mean, it was some crazy times. We did some crazy shit. And like I say, I wasn't alone. I had some great people that were support for me, and just some crazy ass times.
It's crazy, mate. And if you can't go into too much detail, I absolutely fucking 100%, and we all get it, because this isn't something you fuck about with. Let's be honest. But if you were embedded in a 1%, would you be on your own, or would there be somebody else also playing the sort of same, embedded game, as it were,
Well, if we were in a public place, like if we were in a bar or at a rally or something like that, yeah, there'd be guys close by. If it was in the clubhouse or any one of the chapter clubhouses, and that's one of my ass chewings I got at a different time. It was New Year's Eve. We were inside the clubhouse, and I was having fucking fun. There was fucking food and booze and chicks and just having a good time. And wasn't really thinking about much of anything, just kind of keeping my eye on things, but I was having fun. Stroke of midnight, some of the guys went out back. There's like a beer garden outside the backside of the clubhouse. Well, they cut loose with some AKs and handguns, and didn't think anything about it. And then fucking about 20 minutes later, it dawned on me like, fuck, surveillance team has been out in that fucking van all night. They heard gunfire, and they haven't seen my ass. So fuck. I walk out about half hour after the fact and showed myself on the front porch of the fucking clubhouse, but I still got my ass chewed for not immediately letting everybody know.
Yeah, I can imagine that the lads, the guys in the van, just thinking, "Oh fuck, that's
well,
it."
And they told me, they're like, "Well, fuck, there's no sense of hitting the door because if I'm okay, that would heat shit up." And finally, they come to the conclusion of, all right, the best we can do now is to see them carrying Fingers out dead and maybe put a case on somebody for that.
Fucking hell, man. It's crazy, mate. I mean, listen, it fascinates me. And obviously watching your channel, obviously, it's fascinating because, let's be honest, there's not many guys like yourself who sort of put themselves out there like you do, on internet and stuff. And you've done some work with TV shows as well, haven't you, Fingers, over the last few years?
Yeah, I helped out Gangland on a couple of different episodes. Obviously, the one that I was silhouetted in, but it just says Undercover Fingers, which I'm like, well, that really doesn't help me because I got my fucking name Fingers from. And so I'm like, the crew knew who the fuck it was. Brilliant. But I'm like, and then they digitized my voice a little, and everybody that knew me are like, fuck yeah, we can tell it's you.
That's Fingers. Yeah. So they did a good job of disguising you then, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, it was silhouetted. I mean, you couldn't see my face or anything, but I kind of
they had the deep voice in there and all that.
What's that?
They had your voice screen too.
Yeah, they digitized it, but I don't know. Everybody says I got a fucked up speech pattern, so it's one of those deals that everybody that knows me and have talked to me and had conversations, they're like, "Fuck yeah, we can tell that's you. That's 100% you." And then
Fuck.
after I did the Gangland thing, I actually did a thing in France. It was kind of a spin-off of a Gangland type show. I ended up doing a documentary on that in France. And then I was on a show called Outlaw Country, which aired on WGN America on YouTube. Here you can, if you type in Outlaw Country WGN America, you'll see some of, I don't know if the full episodes are on there or not, but definitely some of the advertisements that ran for the show are on there. Yeah, of course that lasted one season. Had literally half of the cast is dead. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, that spun around. There was two brothers that were cops and two brothers that were, I mean, we don't say it on the show, but they were former El Forastero members. The Monk brothers, John and Josh Monk. And out of the two brothers that were law enforcement, that's Steve Cook and Mike Cook. Mike is dead from the law enforcement side. Josh is dead from the Monk brothers side. And then we had a guy by the name of Oso and his wife died. They were on the show. One of our guys that ran all the drone work and everything else, he was fucking, he got killed, oddly enough, in a skateboarding accident. Yeah, there was just a shit ton of us that didn't last from that show.
That's fucking crazy, mate. That is.
Yeah, and I'm still involved in the television world. I still do a lot of technical advisor work. I was just over the summer. We were in Philadelphia I was on set a couple of days, but shooting a show for Netflix out there.
Oh well, so. Sweet, fucking. Like I said, it's fascinating to listen to you talk. I mean, it really is. It's it's kind of a taboo subject, if you like, really, isn't it? When you're talking about undercover cops in the MC world, it absolutely is. An sort of a taboo subject. And fair play, mate. I mean, it must have took some balls to do what you did. And you said it before. You grew up in that sort of, in that whole surroundings anyway, so you had an idea what to expect where you went in, but. Let me ask you: was there any point throughout your career where you were embedded with the MCs that you thought to yourself, "Fuck, I've been made. I need to sort of get to fuck," as it were?
Yeah, absolutely. The bigger case that I was involved in, at some point, shit got real heated up. And like I say, we were at war with the Angels, so there was a lot of shit going on: knifing, shooting, bomb building, arson, you name all the good stuff that happens in a biker war. Jesus. All that shit was going on. And then we had church one night, and they basically said, we got a snitch within the nation somewhere here in Illinois, and when you are the fucking snitch and they say there's a snitch, you're like, fuck, this is my fucking last gig. You immediately think, you're made and shit like that. And eventually they did. They figured it out. That is how my case ended, was a cop dimed me out. He actually went and told one of the Hells Angels that I was an undercover cop, and they didn't know it for sure, but the cop just kind of guessed. And the angel called the Outlaws, even though bitter enemies. He said, "Hey, one of your guys, I just had a cop tell me one of your dudes is a fucking undercover." I was supposed to go to church that night. The bureau guys, I had a street contact. He called me. He's like, "Man, it's nutted. We're done. We're shutting this shit down." I, of course, argued and said, "Fuck that. Bullshit and attitude is taking me this far. We'll get it the rest of the way."
Sure.
I had one of the prospects that I was prospecting with. He called me. He's like, "Fingers, don't go, man. Just don't go." On the phone, he dropped the phone dead. And I was literally on my way to the clubhouse, and my street contact, he's like, "All right, if I can't talk you out of not going, at least meet me at this restaurant right off, I-55. He's like, we're going to give you a new body wire that's upgraded and harder to find, blah, 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 for safety reasons. And I'm like, okay, that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped there and he arrested me. And
Fuck.
that's literally how my case ended.
Jeez. So what about the dude that sort of, that became a snitch to the cop that became a snitch to the Hells Angels, who said that you were part of the club that shall not be named, as it were. What happened to him? Was he dirty? Was he, or it just came out by accident, or what?
No, it was no accident. He was a newly assigned gang officer.
Right.
The bureau wanted to charge him, and I said, nah. I said, I signed up to do this case to fucking do outlaw bikers. I didn't sign up to fucking prosecute cops.
Sure.
I said, I didn't want any part of that. I said, and if you don't prosecute him, trust me, I will take care of the issue myself. And I did. I found him out in the parking lot behind his fucking department, and we had a conversation.
That's fucking, it's scary, mate. Let's be honest. I don't know your sort of family circumstances, but if you're in something like that and somebody lets that slip, that's not only you on the hook here. This is your whole family with that type of scenario.
Yeah, definitely the family and all the guys I work with, and I mean, because after we shut it down, we ended up finding out there was a secretary inside the state's attorney's office that was dirty, that was with them. I had another cop who did not know I was undercover, that believed the shit story of, I'm a 1%er now. He calls up on my phone, which was always 100% of the time wired. He calls up and orders a fucking arson for an insurance rip from me. So he got shit canned and fucking threatened with prosecution and shit. And so at the end of the day, that case, we ended up charging 2 guys on the biker side of things and 2 cops. And we made sure the girl at the state's attorney's office was fired. But yeah, I never even had to testify in court on that case. For that, I ended up testifying in different districts in Illinois for a different club because I was gathering intel on them too. And lo and behold, ATF had a case going with them. So I testified at a central district here in Illinois, and the 2 guys, both of them, well, one was chapter president and the other one was sergeant at arms. The chapter president cooperated a little bit. The sergeant at arms, who was my nemesis throughout the entire case. I mean, he was the one I got in the knife fight with. Me and him had a couple of fucking, just fucking Donnybrooks. I mean, we're talking throw down, fucking you go till you knock the other out. And he ended up, I told my guys, I'm like, he ended up stabbing a dude. Well, actually, both of them stabbed 2 different people. But he took off on the run. They caught him up in Wisconsin, and I'm like, don't waste your fucking gas. He's not going to cooperate. And lo and behold, they're like, well, we're going to go talk to him. And so they go up there. The dude, we called him Richie. They got up there, and he's like, I'm tired of this lifestyle. I've done this too long. I'm going to fucking die doing this. And he ended up talking for fucking 2 days straight, 2 8-hour days. He ended up testifying in the state of Ohio, and he ended up testifying in the state of Ohio on a major case for this club. And we ended up getting the international president because of his testimony. He ended up getting 16 and a half years out of the state of Florida, and then the court deal in Ohio, he got 3 life sentences. So
wow, fucking, it's unbelievable. It's crazy as well. You would never think that these guys would seen it a few times.
But hey, Stevie, I got to bounce, man. I got an early morning ride. We're heading up to New York, so I appreciate you having me on again. And good seeing everybody tonight. Yeah.
Anytime,
And,
buddy.
I look
Take
forward
care,
to the next
Miranda.
one, man.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it, mate.
Good seeing you.
Take
man.
care,
Everybody
mate.
have a great weekend, y'all.
You as
Cheers,
well.
Grant. See you, bud. Take it easy, mate. See you, pal. Wow, fucking hell. Yeah, that's is that sort of a quite an often thing, Fingers, when they get caught or they're sort of backed into a corner, as it were. I don't suggest that you probably see that quite often when they do sort of start singing, as it were.
You don't, and then you do. I mean, these guys had criminal histories that were pretty substantial prior to this, so they were looking at some significant time. The president, he stabbed the dude and went on the run, but before he went on the run, he stole the chapter's treasury. So he took all that money, and so he was done one way or the other, even if he didn't cooperate.
I bet the club didn't like that when he fucking stole all the money.
Fuck no, he's no longer in the club.
I can imagine.
So, and then the dude that we ended up catching up in Wisconsin, and he did cooperate. He, even with cooperation, he got handed 60 years.
Jesus Christ. It's fucking crazy, isn't it? It is mental. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Any of you guys got any questions for Fingers?
Question for you. After you were done, how was the support they gave you after you were done? Like
the support from the Bureau?
Yeah, or your bureau, or whoever you're working with. We all talk about PTSD and things involved.
That's something, and I actually did a video about that a little bit on my channel too. But I was kind of brought up in the ranks of law enforcement where you just didn't talk about that shit. I've been in a handful of shootings. I've had plenty of people die within feet of me. Not to mention all the car wrecks and all the normal shit that a cop sees fucking every day. You just didn't talk about it. As far as the support from the Bureau, it was beyond fantastic, and everything. I mean, even while I was gone on the case itself, I live in the Midwest here in Illinois, and wintertime it snows and shit like that. Well, my wife, she was left all alone. They literally assigned an agent just to make sure my wife didn't need anything. So if it snowed, he would shovel the drive. If it was the summertime, he would mow the fucking lawn. And after the case was done and I was out, I had about a 4-month fucking breather. And even during that time, the Bureau would have, the black helicopters fly by. They had coordinates preset, GPS coordinates preset to where they knew they could land choppers need be. Literally within 10, 15 minutes, I could have had a fucking SWAT team at my door.
Wow.
It wasn't until 2 weeks after I appeared on Gangland that they ended up showing up at my house, and that didn't work out for them either.
Fuck. Jesus.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be fair, I'm not surprised about the police thing where they say don't talk about it. Coming from EMS, we've seen some of that. We're trying to change that, but still that's a problem.
Right. Yeah, and that's, I guess, my lesson, my law enforcement lesson is no matter how bad you think somebody is, you don't know what they just went through, what's in their head. You don't know what kind of day they're having. That, you caught him on a different day, he might have said, screw you. He was just tired. He was wore down. I mean, from being on the run, you got to understand that a lot of these guys, every day, from the time they wake up, you wake up, you do a shot of whiskey, you might go to the gym for a little bit, then you down a 6-pack, and then you're into the afternoon, and then you're doing a line of Coke. And these guys were hitting needles. They were speedballing all the fucking time. So with Richie, the big factor that made him talk was he was off drugs. He was coming down. He was, self-rehabbing because he couldn't go out in public. He knew he was wanted. And so, yeah, there's a lot of contributing factors on that.
Fucking it. When you touch on that there, the thing is the whole sort of drug side of life. And, I would imagine you've seen it, on the TV and in movies and stuff like that, where this kind of things, played out. Was there any positions where you were in, at some point in your career where you were put into that position where you had to say, when somebody offered you, is a line of coke or is this or is that, to sort of gain their trust, as it were, for you to do that? Was there any time in your career where you had to do that, or
about 1,000 times?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, some shit you can fake, like smoking a fucking doobie or something like that. That's easy enough to fake, and nobody's gonna fucking question on that. Sitting down and doing a rail of coke or fucking meth or whatnot, that's a different story. My deal has always been, I don't do fucking dope. I'll sell it for you. I'll do a lot of different shit, but I won't do it. And if your club is based on fucking using dope and not brotherhood, well, fuck you. I'll bounce down the road then. And everybody pretty much always just said, "Oh, okay, that's cool."
Fucking hell. So it was respected within the clubs that you didn't want to do that.
Yeah, and again, even within the club, just because of the hard partying that does go on, you also have a contingency of rehabbing addicts. And so it's not that uncommon for guys to, no, I don't use dope anymore because they've been down that road and went through rehab.
Sure.
Some of the guys, I hung out quite a bit with some of the Angels, and most of the guys I hung out in Illinois with at that time, they barely drank. I mean, I was in the bar with them one night, and they sold the shit out of orange juice. I mean, they weren't drinking. So,
fucking hell, it's crazy, isn't it? So, on the sort of the scenario of having to being in a position where you've had to sort of keep stum, or you're in a position where you think, fuck, man, this is bad, but I'm here, that I can't let my cover go or blow my cover, and like, was it? Please, if you can't go into too much detail, mate, then please don't. But obviously, I'm guessing there was times where you were in a position of shit. You've just seen something that you shouldn't have seen, or you shouldn't have been involved in or near, and you were put in a position where you were then, sort of having to sort of, not say anything or report up the chain later on down the line. Was there anything
absolutely.
on?
I got arrested during my case, and I wouldn't blow cover, so I ended up in fucking jail. And that was all over a bar fight. A dude kept fucking with guys, and I ended up getting instructed to show him a little respect.
Yeah.
And I did, and I ended up tumbling over a high top, and I'm on top of him, and somebody come up from behind and started raking my fucking face. Well, I reach up and grab that throat and fucking threw her. It was his girlfriend. And of course, everybody was laughing at my expense at that point. And then next thing, I get a fucking arm bar from a dude. So I start fucking doing one of these numbers, punching him. And it was a Joliet police officer.
Oh.
So I Lord knows I've been in a lot of fucking fights over my life. And I give great credit to Joliet PD. They know how to beat somebody's fucking ass. So yeah, that they kicked my ass getting me into the fucking car. They kicked my ass once I got to the fucking jail, getting out of the fucking car. They just beat the fuck out of me.
Fucking hell. But that's a testament to yourself, though, mate. You're not giving up your cover at that point. And just taking a fucking beating just because of how far in you are. At that point, something like that is not really. It's fucking pointless giving up your cover for something like that.
I've been beat up before, so what the fuck,
Jesus Christ. So let me ask you, obviously, once you've retired now and you have actually got friends who, you said it before, friends who are still part of, the MCs and the 1% clubs and stuff like that. And, how do they sort of react to the fact, knowing what you've done for so long, mate, and, your career, and how do they react to that? And I take it there's no difference now. Clearly,
there really isn't. I mean, like I say, I'm hated within some certain crews. Obviously, there's one that really hates me, and all the
obviously
support, all the support crews of that hate me. There's another motorcycle club that's very well established. I ended up doing case on. They don't like me. There's another 1% one that I did a case up in Northern California. And to this day, I don't think, because we flipped a couple of the members, but I patched in with that crew, and they had no idea. I ended up coming up with a shit story why I had to move away, and okay, man, keep in touch. Well, I never did kept in touch, but
never Christmas cards and that.
Yeah. And about 6 months later, about a half dozen of those guys got taken off. And then I went on to a couple other small clubs, support clubs. We ended up taking down in an entire chapter of one of the support clubs. Those guys really don't seem, I really kind of think they just had enough. They figured out that this shit was real, that lifestyle is fast-paced, hardcore, and sometimes extremely violent. So I mean, I got guys I'm still friend. I mean, one of the guys that always comments on my channel, people don't understand it, but is, I won't give up his real name, or I won't even say his road name, but the dude was part of a 1% club until a few years back. I mean, he was a bandito. I got guys that, other than probably, there's damn near not too many 1% club members that haven't reached out to me at one point in time.
That was going to be my next question. Is how does it, doing what you do on YouTube, and the sort of the topics that you cover, when you do your videos and stuff, how many sort of threats compared, let's put it in percentage wise. I know what you're going to say, but guys who reach out and say this is great, or whatever, that have that sort of not camaraderie, but respect for what you did, as it were, and who were part of MCs, compared to the guys that are just fucking straight down your throat, I'm going to murder you, blah blah, all that sort of shit. What's the sort of? It's
pretty easy to filter through. I mean, I get a lot of threats, but
Roger,
there's not too many, or maybe even any, but I would say it's a low percentage. No true 1%er is going to threaten me by an email. That's well below their class.
Sure.
Now, I was attacked once since my YouTube channel. Got into a fight there. Sturgis this year, I was attacked. Yeah.
Holy shit! That explains it now. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah, and it didn't work out for him, and so the fucking next night he shows back up with two of his buddies. So I'm like, okay, this is going to just keep escalating to the point where I end up fucking capping somebody.
Sure.
It's not worth it. So I pulled up early. But
yeah, because I was looking forward to having a drink with you, mate. That was for sure. We nearly made it.
Likewise. But shit happens, and that was this year was my 20th year of attending the rally. And, I've seen it all. I've done it all out there. So me leaving early didn't break my heart. It's one of those deals that I've rode Iron Mountain Road and all the, Van Acker and all the other ones plenty of times. So it didn't break my heart.
Stevie, I'm going to have to jump off here quick. I got to spend a little time with the grandson, but I'll keep hanging on the phone. Fingers, great stuff.
Brad.
We'll see you guys next time. So have a good weekend. Safe.
Cheers, Brad. Take it easy, buddy. See you, mate. Man. Good night, pal. Fucking hell. Stages is crazy. And I can imagine, going down there, doing what you do on YouTube and in your career previous. You don't give a fuck. Just go.
I don't, to the fact that I've been in enough hot situations. I mean, if somebody wants to whack me over a YouTube channel and risk going to prison the rest of life, God help them. If somebody wants to swing on me, again, I've been beat up before, but I'm going to let you know that you were in a fight. I mean, you know. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you another question. Obviously,
Sure.
the Laughlin River Run.
Yep.
The drama that happened down there between, I think it was the HA and the 81 and the Mongols. That's correct, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was undercover at that point.
I was
in the
gonna say,
clubhouse. Yeah. I was in the clubhouse when that popped off. We were literally getting updated about every fucking 15 minutes.
Holy fuck. Wow. So what was the sort of the backlash of that? Obviously being, you've seen what went on. We've all seen what went on, with the CCTV cameras and stuff. What was the backlash after that? And how long did that sort of last?
Well, I mean, we weren't, it wasn't against us per se directly, but we were pretty friendly with that crew, with the Mongols at that time. We were really, there's a chapter here in Illinois. So, we were using that chapter for some support as well. The big thing is some of the shit that went on during that is where we were getting updated on, some of the cowardice acts that some of the members performed. And as far, it was definitely a planned attack. Some people say just two crews showing up at the same time and words were exchanged and a kick was, put out there and all hell broke loose. That isn't exactly true because the Mongols actually had boats out back that they had staged to escape on.
Oh, wow.
And some of them did. Some of them actually escaped via boat on the river there that was in the back of the casino.
Holy fuck. So it was a preemptive strike, as it were.
It was 100% preempted. I mean, or let's put it this way. Was it 100% going into it? Maybe not. Were they ready for it? Yes, absolutely. They had contingency plans if it did pop.
Yeah.
And the backlash on that, I mean, that carried on for quite a while, and I'm still not so sure that it ever got resolved 100%.
I can imagine. Yeah, Jesus. Did you know? It's weird because I've seen a 1,000 documentaries on that, on what went on and stuff and things on YouTube. But did you know the guy who sung the Ghostbusters theme tune was actually sat playing one of the slot machines when that all went off? He was in the mix. And if you look at the video footage, you see him fucking like this.
Yeah.
I can't remember his fucking name, but the guy who Ghostbusters, he was there. Bizarre, yeah, and quite random, but yeah, fucking he was there, man. It was crazy. But yeah, it was madness watching, this. We've all seen the CCTV footage of that, going off in the casino. It's fucking madness, man. It sparked like that, didn't it? Literally. Fucking crazy, man. Absolutely fucking crazy. So let's talk bikes. Obviously, you started riding, you said it before, your first Harley Davidson, 17, 18-year-old?
Yep.
And then you've carried on throughout your whole life, mate, owning bikes and Harleys specifically. So over the years,
I ran through. I had a couple of Triumphs that I built, but I always had a Harley in the staple. But I did do a couple of Triumphs that I built. I just got into building bikes there for a long time, and then, I just recently did a video on that. My evolution of biking, and motorcycles meant a great deal to me, especially early on. Sure. It got to the point I loved riding, I loved showing them, I loved building them. And then I guess when I got into the club thing, that's where the varnish came off. The shine really kind of went away. The motorcycle became a tool. It was no longer a baby of mine. It was just a means to fucking go to work. And I honestly, I mean, it's 20 years later. That's just now going away, and I'm starting to get back to where I want to build again.
Wow. Was your work one better than the one that you had at home, or the other way around?
No. No, at that time I had a 99 not an Ultra, 99 Electric Glide Standard that I built. That fucker was a nice bike, and then I ended up 2002, I got a Road Glide and I built that. So I had some nice bikes. I mean, now I ride a 03 Heritage, which one of the guys that I was on a motorcycle case with, he bought that out of West Palm Beach, Florida. I rode down to Florida and rode back with him. And he was a partner on another MC case I did. And as soon as he was done with the case, that bike got parked for like 2 fucking years. And finally, I'm like, I want that bike. The main reason being is, well, I like the bike, but the 03 100-year anniversary, and it was the year my son was born. So I'm like, I want that bike, and I ended up getting it, and that's what I still ride as a daily rider.
Nice. Fucking that's it. Let me ask you, mate. Over the years, you would have seen a lot of bikes being taken away from the MCs, and obviously, you know, either put on sort of being sold on or crushed or whatever. Was there any sort of issues, you know, or times where you thought, "Fuck, man, this is about to get crushed," or that, you know, all these bikes are gonna get crushed, and you think to yourself, "Fuck, man, I can't watch this get crushed." You know, let's save the bike, as it were. Yeah,
and there's been plenty of times. I mean, I keep track of a lot of mainly the federal stuff that gets. Once it gets seized, it'll get auctioned off and sold. Right. And a lot of times you can get bikes pretty cheap. Really? And yeah, there's been times I'm like, I'm bidding on that fucking bike because I know the history of that bike. Yeah. But so far, knock on wood, I didn't have to buy all of them. I have bought a couple over the years, but you know, it's usually I buy it, build it, flip it type thing.
Wow. But fucking hell. It's crazy. It literally is crazy listening to you, mate. It really is. It's fucking unreal.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I truly apologize. I couldn't get my fucking computer to cooperate.
Dude, honestly, it's absolutely fine. You know, you made it on, mate, and that's what matters. You know, you're here now, and we're talking about this sort of shit. So it's good. So, what's your plans for the future with the channel? Are you just gonna keep it going the way it is, or have you got anything big planned, or?
Nothing outrageous. Yeah, I'm going to keep it going for at least a while. Like I say, YouTube, I don't know if it's just me or if every creator.
It's not just you, mate.
It seems like the views have tanked. That the money has definitely fucking just been butchered. You know, the censorship obviously is ever present.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I probably ain't helping you any by dropping F-bombs all night, but
nah, mate, fuck. You know my live streams. You know my live streams now, man. There's an F-bomb every 2 seconds. You're not the first, you'll be the last.
What about you, Stevie? You got any big plans for the channel, or?
Not really, mate. I think now, as you know, mate, in Canada now, we're like literally weeks away from the fucking snow arriving. God bless my soul for saying that, but you know, for us, I think, and John will tell you, and you guys know this. Our riding window is extremely short. It really is. It's 6 months if you're lucky. It really is. You know, so I think the riding videos and you know the one I just did there, the going to the Sun Road in Montana. You know, that type of shit is gold for us right now. And you know, getting literally 2 weeks ago, getting on the bike and just riding down to Montana and doing the going to the Sun Road in Montana was just fucking phenomenal. It was freezing fucking Baltic cold when I rode down there in the morning. By 10 o'clock, I'd warmed up and I'd stopped shivering. But yeah, it was great, mate. Doing that sort of shit. And that was just
even phenomenal. At the end of that video, those flags were flying pretty fucking stiff.
Exactly, mate.
They were this morning.
That's still probably one of my favorite national parks. So I absolutely love Glacier.
Yeah, it is. It's stunning, mate. It's stunning from start to finish. It's just fucking. I wish there was more roads. More motorcycle roads going through Glacier because it is quite mountainous. Let's be honest, and I think the roads are pretty slim in that, in and around that area. And I think the going to the Sun Road one is absolutely a highlight. It really is. I
agree, but I think the Canadian side of that park is actually maybe even more beautiful.
I would. I don't think there's nothing much on that side, that on our side, as it were, that would beat the going to the Sun Road. But yeah, I think you're right. It is fucking stunning. Both sides.
I think we need to do the Pepsi challenge, and we need to do both of them.
There you go. There you go.
There we go. Yeah, that's a good point, Mike. That really is. Maybe we can do that next year. Fuck it.
There you go. Yeah. I got to look for a new ride, man. I need to. Well, I still need to knock off not Canada. I need to knock off Alaska. That's the only state I haven't ridden to.
the Dalton Highway is supposed to be just
Beautiful.
fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
Have you done it, John?
No, not on the
No.
bike. No,
Not on the bike, but you have done it.
not on the bike. Been up there like in the car for
All right,
work.
okay. Oh, wow, Jesus, fucking hell. Yeah, you've seen all the videos, and you have all of the adventure guys going up there on the GSs and the fucking Pan Americas and stuff. But I think it'd be nice to do that on a Harley. I don't see going right there. I think I've only seen the $1 Million Bogan guy. He's done it, hasn't he? He's gone right the way up, right up to the Arctic Circle and dipped his toes in the ocean, the Arctic Ocean.
I actually, a couple of buddies of mine. One of them, when he did that, he rode up, and we met him in Sturgis on his way back, and we were sitting around the campfire one night, and he brings back all his pictures and shit, and we're sitting there looking at them all. He ended up hooking up with the 81 up there, and he eventually became a member.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I had a couple of my buddies actually did that ride, so, and they raved about it,
it looks amazing. Would you do it on the Heritage?
Yeah, I would. I mean, to me, that Heritage is just as comfortable as my baggers were. I have no issues with riding that thing all over to the end of Earth.
Fuck. That's a proper
pretty
way
much
of doing
it.
Exactly. That's it. Fucking hell. Hey, it's Wild on Twos. What's happening, Wild? How you doing, mate? Nice to see you. But yeah, no, it's. I think that, like we were saying, obviously the winter comes quick for us. Like the fucking Game of Thrones, winter's coming type of scenario. And once that hits, mate, we're kind of fucked on what we can put out for content. Realistically, so we've either got to do in-store videos or just this live streaming, or it's tough being a sort of having a moto channel or a motorcycle channel in Canada. It's pretty tough. I think that's why we lag behind a lot of the time with subscribers and stuff, because once you get to a certain point, like now, we're kind of on a time limit, and the egg time is slowly emptying, and once that snow hits and the fucking cold comes, we're fucked.
Right.
I made it to November last year, but I wouldn't go any longer.
Yeah, no, fuck no. Yeah, I mean, the greatest thing I've ever put on my bike is the heated grips. Fucking hell, man, they make such a difference. Especially, I'm like, fuck it, I'm normally like Cruella de Vil like this by the time I get off the bike. I'm like,
I've got the one with the chemical hand warmers in my gloves, and I'm like 3 of them and going.
Jeez. But yeah, hey, Wild, good to see you too, mate. Thanks for coming on, buddy. Really appreciate it. But yeah, that's the plans, mate. I think next season, but we did stages this year, clearly, as you've probably seen the videos and stuff. But we're planning on potentially doing it again. I know John's definitely probably going to go. Yeah. But I think with that sort of when you leave the military and the police force and the AMS and stuff, like you've got all this leave to take while you're serving. You've got all this leave. It's great, but as soon as you retire, your fucking leave goes. so you're like, oh, fuck, I can only get 3 weeks off a year or 4 weeks off a year, which is shit. So I think having now retired last year or this year, early this year is getting used to that not enough time off, if I'm honest, and having to balance that finally between fucking off with the lads on to stages or doing family stuff, and it's tough. It is, and I'd love to go back to stages next year. It took me 2017 was the first time I went. It was the second year I was posted to Canada, and it took me till this year to go again. So I think there's potential for me to go next year, yes, but I don't think it's going to happen, if I'm honest. You've got to balance it, haven't you, boys? We all know this. We all know the family stroke fucking riding time has got to be balanced finally.
Stevie, just save a little time. I'll ride to fucking Canada and you can show me around for a weekend.
Absolutely, mate. That'll be fucking phenomenal. Myself and John will absolutely show you around, mate, because you've seen my videos, mate. That the fucking roads up here are just unbelievable.
We've got no excuses anymore either. Rides. We've got no excuses where borders are open.
Yep.
Let's go, everybody.
Borders are open. And we can just nip across the border to Montana and do the going to the Sun Road as well.
That's amazing.
Why not?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, listen, boys, I'm going to shut it down if that's all right with you guys. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving weekend in Canada right now. So I just want to say, Fingers, thanks very much, mate. I 100% appreciate you coming on, mate.
No
I really
worries.
do, pal. It's always a pleasure having you on, mate. And like I said to you before, numerous occasions, it's fascinating listening to you talk about, you know, what you've done in your career and you know, how you spent your life doing what you've done, mate. And full respect to you, but it really is. From me, you know, the respect is there definitely. And you know, I'm sure the guys have loved listening to you tell the stories of you know, what you've done tonight. It's been amazing, mate. It really has.
Well, I appreciate it. And it truly is my honor that, you know, somebody's interested in hearing the fucking old man talk about stupid shit I've done.
Hey, we're all going to be there at some point. You know, that's for sure. Well,
yeah, that
listen
works for me because I got to get on the road.
Yeah.
Are
you working? Are you working tonight,
Mike?
I
got called back. I got called back 2 days early because somebody has got COVID for the 4th time this year, only on holiday weekends.
Oh, that's funny, isn't it? Hey, that's
I'm gonna have
convenient.
words with him.
Fuck you know. Oh Jesus. Well, listen, thanks very much for everybody that came on the show tonight. Those that are on still now and those guys that came on before. Thanks very much to everybody in the side chat and everybody listening on the podcast. I will turn this into a podcast. Fingers, if you're all right with that, mate, I'll put this out as a podcast. Absolutely. Great to know. So you can catch this up whenever it is, well, probably next couple of weeks, out on Apple Podcasts and all that good stuff, Spotify, etc., etc. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate, having you on, Fingers. I really do appreciate it, mate. Thank you very much for coming on.
No worries.
And I'll speak to you soon, mate. I really appreciate it.
You guys, everybody be safe, and I'll see you down the road.
Take it easy, bud. I will drop the link to your channel, mate, in the side right now, so guys can go and go check it out, and obviously, you know, get hooked like I did.
Appreciate it, Stevie.
All right, mate. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you all.
Later.
I'll see you on the next one.
Okay.
Take it easy. See you guys. Where do we go? John, I'll see you later, mate.
All right, brother. See ya.
All right, brother. Good night, mate. As always, I'll leave you with this awesome tune by the one and only Julian Austin, and it is Unsung Heroes. Take it easy, guys. Have a great weekend, and remember, you'll never walk alone.
As an infantryman, served in Bosnia, Iraq, and Afghanistan. He's seen some things nobody should ever see. He never came back when he came back from overseas. Yeah, and a few months back he took his granddaddy's gun, threw it in his truck and went out on a run. Drove up Hilly Mountain to an old shine shack. That's the night he never came back. Yeah, there wasn't any flag draped coffin, no 21 gun salute. Just his mother and his brother there to bury him. Didn't even make the news. Another unsung hero who gave all for me and you. Spent 15 years with search and rescue. During that time she saved lives but lost some too. Then one day she just came undone and never got a chance to say goodbye to her loved ones. No one saw that it was going that way. When the medic showed up, it was just too late. She left a note, said sorry I had to go, but I gotta go try and save some ghosts. Yeah, there wasn't any mention of suicide. They just said she died suddenly. But now everyone knows she lost her war with PTSD. Yeah, another unsung hero who gave all free you and me. Who's gonna do what they do? Will it be me and you? It takes a special someone to walk that line, to walk that line. Yeah. His life as a first responder. He started as a field medic serving over yonder. He thinks about the ones that he couldn't save, and though he knows there's nothing that he could have done, it still haunts him today. Then one night he hit the bottle alone. Took a bottle of pills, thank God he picked up the phone. They found him in time and they brought him back for another day. Yeah, and these days he's doing much better. He's been reaching out now, it's time to show. And he's getting help from those who really know what he's gone through. Another unsung hero who gave all for me and you. Yeah, we gotta thank all our heroes. Yes, the least we can do. So yeah, God bless the unsung heroes who give and gave for me and you. It's a real bad war going on out there. We gotta find them, gotta help them, gotta show them that we care. So many people out there trying to make it one more day. Together we can fix this thing, we will find a way. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder's a really bad thing. PTSD, don't think that it never could happen to you and me. But if it's gotten time, it just might help save you and me. Yeah, it's a monster you can't see, and it's a real